Association. Thank you all for coming. This is probably the very last forum of the 2025 election, and we're excited to have the candidates here. We're going to start the evening with the Mayoral Forum and Debate. As everybody knows, our two candidates, Mayor Stephen Minor and Commissioner Kristen Rosen-Gonzalez, give them a round of applause. And we're going to jump right into it.
But before we do that, again, my name is Jory Wright, the Executive Director, the Washington Avenue Business Improvement District, and I want to acknowledge my board members here today. Thank you very much, Saul Gross, and the resident troops are here. Thank you very much for being here. You know, because of their leadership, Washington Avenue doesn't look like it did 6 or 7 years ago. It looks a lot better. There's been some great changes on the avenue. Do we have more to do? Of course we do. We have a lot more. But, thank you very much, board members, for their direction, and we're excited about the future of Washington Avenue. So let's begin.
All right, we're going to begin with opening statements. Each candidate has 2 minutes. We're going to start with Commissioner Kristen Rosen-Gonzalez.
The final hazing. I'll start. Good evening, everyone, and thank you guys for hosting the debate. I want to thank my opponents. It seems a little loud. Hello? Okay, that's fine. I'll just go without it.
You gotta shut the other mic off. You can't have two mics on.
We're on mute here.
Hold on, what number is that? I'll just turn it down. How about that?
Yeah, just turn it down.
And your time is up.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kristen Rosen-Gonzalez, and since 2015, when I stood on a bridge waving at you, I have served our community and represented who we are and our democratic values. My work over the years has resulted in the saving of the Lincoln Road parking lots, saving Monty's, the South Shore Community Center, the Byron Carlisle Theater, and I think over many years, that's why Miami Beach is still recognizable at a time when you go to downtown Miami and you don't even know where you are anymore. Historic preservation is solid economic policy, and Miami Beach has lost its edge. Sure, we have a problem with crime, but we were able to regain control of our seats as a body. Our city manager presented us with a 14-point plan. Both of us co-sponsored historic homeless legislation, and we have regained control of our streets, and we now have law and order. But we do have an economic recession right now. Year over year, Miami Beach is down $4 million for 2 straight years in a row, which represents hundreds of millions in economic activity lost. We have a convention center that is underperforming, that is a massive investment. Miami Beach residents still owe $500 million on that convention center, and it is not programmed much of the time. I think that with the right policies in place and a little creativity, will go a very long way. Nobody wants to do business in Miami Beach because it's difficult to open businesses, but I have a plan to be able to open a business, and within 2 days you will get your first feedback, and within 1 month you will get your building permit, at a time when in other cities you can get your building permit in 10 days. Also, I think that we need to recognize that as I drove down the street tonight, our Art Deco architecture is what makes us so special. We have 800 Art Deco buildings, and that's why people come here. In a world of unremarkable 3-star hotels, Miami Beach has these really unique historic resources, but as I was driving down Washington Avenue tonight, people are not taking care of their buildings. If you went to a city like Palm Beach, you would see that every historic building is well cared for and pristine. And I think we can do better. I think we can market ourselves better, fill up our convention center, and with the right economic development team, we can go a long way. We might have lost our edge, but Miami Beach, we can become an exciting place. We do not need to be Naples or Boca like we're turning into right now, because it affects businesses across the board. And all of us who live in Miami Beach, we might not come down to the historic district, but I want to fix Lincoln Road, Washington Avenue, Collins Avenue, and work together with our business improvement district so all of you want to return to our city center so we can once again become a thriving economy and our world renowned and regain our place on the world stage. Thank you very much.
I'm going to also, because we're going to keep to a strict time schedule, when you have 15 seconds, you're going to hear something like that.
Okay. Hi, I'm Mayor Steve Miner. It's a pleasure. It's been an honor of a lifetime to represent you as your mayor the last 2 years. My wife, who's here, Shannon, and our 2 kids live in Mid Beach on 41st Street. So when I ran for mayor, I ran on a law and order platform. And I said, we need to get to our next level as a city. To be we are an international city, but to get that economic development, we need to be a safer city in Miami Beach. Spring break was a major blight, not only for our residents who would leave during that period of time and the chaos that would happen. I brought a 14-point plan that our commission passed, but I spent literally the moment I got elected as mayor, brought that forward. I reached out to the governor to get state resources that we did not have in advance of spring break issues in the past. And I went out to Tallahassee and met with the Florida Law Department Enforcement, Dave Kerner, who heads that, and we got the resources that we needed, and we ended spring break chaos. It did not happen by accident. Major crimes are down 19% in our city, 20% in South Beach, 27% on Ocean Drive. The numbers are down. And by the way, these are data points, but you see it. People tell me, and residents tell me all the time, they feel they're safer, and the data backs it up. Our homeless count is one of the lowest we've ever had. We actually offer millions of dollars to help the homeless and provide a lifeline, but at the same time, we're going to enforce our laws, and that is why our numbers are one of the lowest we've ever had. We're actually doing well as a city. We can do better. Like you said before, Joy, this is the momentum we're building to do better, and we're getting there. Our hotel room rate, $321 a night in Miami Beach for the first 6 months of the year. No other city in America was over $300. We were number one. Our resort taxes are actually up. We had a bump after COVID because Florida and Miami Beach is one of the few places in the country that was up. So the resort taxes had a massive uphill. But if you look back from last year, if you look back 5-6 years ago, our resort taxes are actually up. And there is a lot of capital coming into our city. Lamborghini's opening here. The convention center hotel is going to be a big driver. I also had legislation to try to limit overdevelopment and to make sure we had smart development. It used to take a 5/7 commission vote. Now it takes 6/7 commission vote. We needed to have the safe city to get to that next level. We're getting there. Beautification of our city, lighting projects throughout our city, including Washington Avenue and Palm View. We're getting it done, and we're ready for that next phase. We need to continue the momentum.
Thank you. Round one will be about public safety and crime, since you guys both brought it up. The first question is to Stephen Miner. You are positioned as the law and order mayor, but that comes at an expense. Our police force costs about $1,900 per resident. We are triple the per capita expense of New York City at about $625, Las Vegas at $550, and even the city of Miami is at $500 per person. Why should Miami Beach be paying more than triple what other major cities are paying for police?
Sure, so that's the first time I've heard those stats, so I'd love to have the opportunity to look at that a little more carefully. That being said, a significant portion of our budget does go to police and fire. I mean, New York City has 35,000 police officers. Think of that number. We're at 437. It's actually the first time we're fully staffed. We do not have a single position open in our sworn offices. First time, our police chief tells me in the 30 years he's been here, we've never been fully staffed. That means more police visibility, which you see, that is a deterrent to crime and all the things that we need to do to help the homeless and also address homelessness. So I'm actually very proud of our police force and the job they do. There's more that I'd like to see. I'd like to see officers out of their cars more. It's something that I've been pushing. We're getting there, but there's a lot more to do. But the fact that we are fully staffed shows a lot of things. We provide the right resources, training, the morale, and I do have the endorsements of the police and the fire department. The morale of our police department is high, and you need that if you want police officers to perform and do their duties. And one thing I tell them, and I tell them all the time, and not many mayors say this, I tell them all the time, I got your back. because it's a tough job, it's a dangerous job, and their lives and their careers are on the line all the time. Everyone's filming everything they do, and I tell them that we got your back, and they appreciate that to make sure they do the job they have to do.
Thank you. You've argued the city is less safe than a year ago. What data supports that claim, and what changes would you implement in the first 100 days to address public safety?
Well, as you know, there are two categories of crime on the police site. You have property crimes and you have violent crimes. But the mayor invented his own category called major crimes because the data didn't justify what he was saying. Up until August 31st, violent crime was up in Miami Beach by 3% at a time when violent crime was down by nearly 40% over 2 years in Miami-Dade County and nationally. Even now, we're still seeing aggravated battery assault and sexual assault are up at a time when they're down by 20% in the city of Miami and the county. What would I do? We know that our homeless population is committing 50% of most of our crimes and represent 50% of our arrests. So one of the things that I'm going to do is to hire a very competent homeless person who is going to work with the county commission to get the Miami Center for Mental Health and Recovery open. Right now we are arresting the homeless. We both sponsored this camping ordinance, but it has kind of failed because we are arresting the same people. It's costing us a bunch of money. And by the way, because of the police unions, we are spending 70% of our budget right now on police and fire, and that is too much. And I think that that's one of the reasons why we are spending so much money on police. But I think we need a comprehensive approach to work with the homeless and make sure that we can take the homeless off the streets and get them the services that they need. I think having the right person in charge of the homeless program that we don't right now will be a huge difference, and I think that will make Miami Beach a lot safer. And that's one of the reasons that our economy is doing so poorly right now. Many of our businesses, especially in the tourist district, the entertainment district, Lincoln Road, they're getting looted, harassed by the same homeless population, and the police aren't even there. I don't know where they are.
My name was specifically mentioned, so you told me I got a rebuttal.
You have 30 seconds.
So I don't invent my own statistics. The statistics the police department comes up with are mandated by the state and federal government, goes to the FBI. I do not come up with statistics. The commissioner cited assaults, which a lot of it is domestic related, which is very unfortunate. But that is a separate category as well. But the bottom line is major crimes, which is reported by the police department to the FBI, is down 19%. On almost every category, it is down significantly. I transformed our prosecution team. We were at 8% success rate, put on legislation requiring the prosecution of these individuals to make sure that they do not continue to be repeat offenders in our city. And we also appeal now if judges dismiss it. We went from 8% success to 92% success today.
You have 45 seconds.
I just don't like the fact that you keep rebutting and making light of aggravated assault with this threat with a deadly weapon or a knife. I'm not going to make light of it, and I'm not going to stop until we lower those numbers. And actually, violent crime overall, since my advocacy and the campaign started, dropped 50% in the last 30 days. And I would say that it's because of my advocacy and our campaign shining a light on the problem and working with our police chief. And you've seen a significant drop over the last 30 days alone. And that was me.
Okay, we're going to move on to round 2, which is homelessness and social policy. Miami Beach passed a controversial ordinance allowing arrests when someone sleeping in public refuses shelter placement. This question is to both of you. You both supported the ordinance. What have you learned from its rollout? Would you keep it as is, or would you replace arrests with alternative models, for example, co-responder teams, sanctioned sleeping, or diversion dockets? Mr. Mayor.
So our city offers services that no other city in Miami-Dade County, that's 34 cities, offers. We have a homeless outreach office that homeless individuals, actually my chief of staff who's here and I happened to be talking with a homeless individual the other day we told him about it and he didn't know about it and he was heading down there. It's a great service. We offer millions of dollars every year, but at the same time, we had people sleeping in our public spaces, and at the time, the police the only option they had was to wake them up and ask them to move along. We, as a collective body, I was one of the sponsors, and we passed legislation And it was a 4-3 vote. It was a close vote. But at the time, and we got a lot of pushback from a lot of different arenas, but it's good legislation. It basically requires, it says that if a person is sleeping in the public, the police or the homeless outreach team, when they wake them up, they offer the services. By the way, Supreme Court law does not require us to offer services. Under the Supreme Court, we can make the arrest right then and there. But we don't do that. We're a compassionate city. We offer them the services. If they accept, then we do the services. But if they do not, the officer has the discretion. It's not absolutely required, but they have the discretion, and they often do, will then make the arrest. It's good law. It's one of the reasons. I think there's a combination of why our homeless numbers have gone down so much. 8% in the last year, 20% in the last 2 years, under the 28% lower than the average that we've had the last 10 years. A couple of years ago, we were at 235. We're now at 122. That's still too much. We got work to do. But the numbers are going down because we take it seriously, we offer services, and we enforce our laws.
Was that the perfect solution? Absolutely not. We've been arresting them, and they go to jail, and they're back out on the streets 12 hours later. They're committing the same crimes, and we're doing this 20 and 30 times per homeless person. One man, Judge Stephen Leifman, dedicated his life in homeless court, and he came up with this comprehensive solution. And you have done nothing to help open this Stephen Leifman, this Miami Center for Mental Health and Recovery. Well, I was able to get $5 million of Miami Beach's funding for the homeless allocated to this Center for Mental Health and Recovery, which is a comprehensive solution. They get medication, social services, tattoo removal, dental, education, and they treat them benignly. And we really need to get this center open. You have done nothing to open this center. That is going to be a top priority for me, and that is the real solution to the homeless. Not just harassing them, it's expensive for us. The county is really angry because they have to process all these homeless, and frankly, it's really degrading to have to keep, arresting the same people, and it puts our police officers in a really bad position too, because they know that they're not doing the right thing, and they're taking mentally ill people and putting them in jail with no solution in sight. So while we supported it because at the time we were desperate, I know that there's a better way, and I think we need the right leadership to work with the county to make it happen, and I think that I'm that person. Thank you.
Specifically, you mentioned. So the reality is very different. Well, I'll talk about the center. We both agree the center would be a great asset to Miami Beach and the county. We actually took a tour with Judge Leifman, and we were both there together. The issue is not me. I don't even know where that comes from. The county it's so underfunded that they cannot open it. And you see the county is slashing their budget. I would love nothing more from that center to be open, but it is a significant expense. Actually, the police department will tell you, and you can ask the officers yourselves. You see officers around. They like this law first of all, the prosecution program has worked, so we're not arresting the same people over and over. But because of our system that we've put in place and the laws that we enforce, we are seeing significantly less homeless individuals, which actually makes it easier for our police officers.
If you go and speak to the residents at the Dengo Plage, I think they think very differently. And everybody living along the beach walk also has a very different perception of the problem with the homeless. First and foremost, the county does have the operating dollars to open the center, but we have not been strong advocates, and I think that's one of our downfalls. I think the mayor of Miami Beach has a lot of power, and that mayor has to be able to go to the county. But I don't think that our current mayor has a great relationship with the county commission as a whole, so they're ignoring us right now, and I think that I can repair that relationship. And as a matter of fact, I know I can.
I keep being mentioned, so
We gotta move on.
if I'm going to be falsely accused, I'm entitled to a rebuttal. So I actually have great relationships with Tallahassee, which is why we got the resources. I have great relationships with Rosie, the sheriff, which is why they were going to have our resources for spring break, and I was able to get that back up. I have a close relationship with the mayor of Miami-Dade County, with the city of Miami. So this narrative that I don't have good relationships is absolutely false. It's a matter of dollars and cents. There's a significant, these county facilities are for the entire county, not just Miami Beach.
All right. Let's talk traffic and mobility. Traffic congestion remains one of the city's most visible challenges. Stephen Miner, you pushed to studying underground transit tunnels as a congestion fix? Why tunnels instead of metro mover extensions? And what feasible thresholds would determine whether to proceed?
Yeah, so traffic, certainly a major issue, and there's so many different aspects. I'll get to your point, but one of the things that I worked on along with our commission is we added officers, we added public safety specialists to keep intersections clear. We've worked on signaling, we've worked on adding extra lanes. I've been working on a water taxi program since 2020. That's getting close. The commissioner has recently been helping out with that as well. But I've put a lot of energy into this the last 5 years to not only get funding but to make it a reality. We did a competitive bid. We have a vendor. We're actually bringing it to the commission meeting next week to reach an agreement to go to Miami, and then ultimately we're going to be looking to have it connected north and south throughout Miami Beach. The issue, so I put on an item about looking at underground tunnels. It got a lot of, it's actually surprising to me because you put on items because you want it to be explored. It's the second time I've actually put this item on, and that's to me what leadership does. You look at every possibility. I don't even know yet whether it is even a concrete reality, but I wanted our city to study the feasibility, to reach out to the experts in the field in other cities where they have dug underground. And we did it by the port, so it's even closer to home, and see whether that's a possibility. The Baylink, the Metro Mover, was not a realistic option. It's old technology. It would have actually increased our density because the county's density, which is much higher than ours, would have taken over. That would have been really bad for Miami Beach. I think we need to look at other options, maybe at-grade options down in MacArthur or the Julia Tuttle, but the Metro Mover wasn't the answer.
Chris, I have a slightly different question. Do you support tunnel studies or prefer a different major transportation solution? And if so, what is your alternative big move and how would you measure its success?
I do not support tunnels on our coral reef on this island. I don't think that would be very smart. But we are both working on a water taxi system, and I recently traveled to the Downtown Development Authority and I spoke with them. They're allocating $600,000 toward building this water taxi that we're moving toward. And we really envision a water taxi service kind of like you see in Seattle or New York City, something that's really organized, economically viable, reliable. And we envision a water taxi where you can travel up and down Indian Creek eventually, and we're looking at docking spaces right now. I think it's the easiest thing for us to do. Another thing that we need to do to solve our traffic problem is buy units that exist here on Miami Beach that are Airbnbs and convert them to workforce housing. I also think we do need to focus on building more workforce housing, and I'm committed to that. But I've seen, as the chair of our Affordable Housing Advisory Committee, that the easiest and cheapest way for us to convert units to workforce housing is to actually buy and build units, because new builds are so expensive that they're not necessarily affordable anymore. So I would be committed to converting many of these units across Flamingo Park into workforce housing, and that is something that is not going to strain our infrastructure. It is not going to cause more traffic, and I think it will create more community and get rid of some of these transient units that we have in Flamingo Park and cut down on traffic.
Hey Steve, do you think you can give them your microphone and you just do the yell?
They have microphones also. They chose to project their voices.
We can try.
We can try it again.
Oh, we're both grabbing microphones.
I grabbed microphones in my lifetime, so don't even worry about it. It works ways. All right.
Okay, round 4 out of 6 rounds is development, nightlife, and quality of life. Development, nightlife, and neighborhood character are deeply intertwined in Miami Beach. The city is world famous for its entertainment culture, yet the rules around nightlife have changed dramatically in recent years. Today, there are fewer nightlife entertainment options than ever, and some supper clubs can no longer serve alcohol past 2 a.m. without proving that 40% of their gross sales come from food. As a result, many late-night hospitality and nightlife options have moved to the city of Miami. Do you believe it was a mistake to adopt such restrictive alcohol and nightlife policies? And if elected, would you consider reversing or modifying them to bring nightlife back to Miami Beach? This question is for both candidates. Mr. Mayor, you're first.
Yeah, so I supported, especially when we look at the residential areas, I supported the 2 a.m. We work very closely, I work very closely with our neighbor associations, and I think it's one of the great assets we have as a city, working together with our residents and our residential neighbor associations. That was the driving force that we heard. We also put it out for a vote, which was strong, and so I'm proud of that legislation. There's also literally countrywide phenomenon going on with that dynamic where you're seeing alcohol sales down, the younger generation drinking less than they had in the past. So there's a lot of other metrics going into it. And then you look at where the models are. For example, the Clevelander wants to build potentially residential and give up their unit. Whether that happens, right now there's no sponsor from the commission, but that's something I know they're percolating and they'd like to do. And the ultimate question is that something what our residents want? Is that the direction they want our city to go or not? And ultimately our residents are going to tell us what they want us to do. But ultimately, I am comfortable with the legislation we passed, and I think it's what our residents want, and I'm proud of it.
This is so complex. We had lost control. We had lost control of our streets, and at one time we were grasping at straws and we were desperate. But really what was happening was there was one hotel operator on Collins Avenue who had 2,000 rooms and he was dropping the room rates every single weekend to $50 a night and marketing to a tourist that really wasn't a nice tourist. I mean, they were trashing our streets and causing a lot of crime. So what did we do? And by the way, the nightclubs and the other businesses were then catering to those tourists. But that hotel portfolio of 2,000 rooms is now being operated by a completely different hospitality company. And you can feel it in South Beach because you can feel the quality of the tourists that we currently have. People come to Miami Beach because they want to go to the beach, they want to go to dinner, maybe go out to have a drink and actually go and dance. Okay, that's what it was. Since Frank Sinatra and Jackie Gleason performed at the Fountain, we are known for entertainment and nightlife. If we don't have that, then all of our bars are going to go out of business too. And right now they are empty, they are desperate, and that is why you see the decline in current tourism. I think that nightlife is okay in our entertainment districts if we have safe streets. And we have safe streets now because we have regained control of Collins Avenue. So I think that we can be a city that is health and wellness, that has nightlife, because that's what we're known for. Can you imagine like a place like Saint-Tropez or Las Vegas saying, we just don't want to do that anymore. The residents are taking control. Miami Beach is bigger than just us. We have we generate more revenue than the state of Florida than any other zip code apart from Disney World. But we are losing that now. We are heading into a recession, and if we don't change course and we don't relax some of the restrictions that we put in place when we were really desperate, how are you going to pay for law and order and the water taxi and all these resiliency projects if you have no money? And by the way, our tourism budget represents half of Miami Beach's budget. The hotels and restaurant and tourism taxes makes up more than $500 million. This is serious, guys.
Okay, this question is for both of you. Thank you very much. Along the same lines, Miami Beach spent a small fortune on a viral marketing campaign to discourage party tourism during the month of March for spring break. Dozens of businesses have complained that they were crippled by this campaign with irreparable damage. Would you support additional marketing campaigns to encourage tourism to Miami Beach? And what specifically would you do to let the world know that Miami Beach has not killed the fun? For both of you.
Yeah, Mr. Miner.
Mr. Miner, please first.
Sure. It was, well, first of all, there are businesses who got hurt by the restrictions we took during spring break. But I heard from many, many businesses and restaurants who actually told me they did better during spring break. Who did better during spring break, and they thanked me for it. They also told me, and I've seen the stats, where subsequent to spring break, their numbers went up because the marketing and the international negativity to our city. What's interesting also, our city is doing financially well. We recently, I'll give a shout out to Commissioner Fernandez who's here, who brought the legislation, but we are returning surplus funds to our residents. You'll be getting a check for the first time in 20 years. We are lowering our millage rate for the first time since 2018. So there's, you don't do that if you're not a financially healthy city. As far as the marketing, there is a lot more we can do as a city to market our city and our businesses. Several years ago, before I was even mayor, we redid our GMCBB contract to require a significant larger portion of our contract for the GMCBB to contribute to marketing Miami Beach. That had been a problem. I actually was one of the drivers to make sure that contract included that. That actually helped us with the spring break marketing because that was paid for partly by those funds. But that's also funds we can use now as we look to say, okay, this is why you should be at Miami Beach. This is why you should open at Miami Beach. This is why you should come to Miami Beach. And again, by the fact that our hotel room rate is the #1 in the country, there's a lot going for Miami Beach.
Kristen?
You know, in the month of July, and you know this very well, Mayor, that tourism revenue was down by 20% in this area. So I don't understand how you can continue to say, after you see vacant business and vacant block after vacant block, that everything here is booming. It doesn't make any sense and the numbers don't justify it. What we need is an effective marketing campaign. We've run a few consumer campaigns, but they have not really been successful, nor have they gone viral. But we can continue to consumer market, but really what we need is B2B business marketing. I think an effective email campaign to different, to fill the convention center, to speak with different travel operators. I think we can really fill up our convention center, and I think we also need small wins, bringing in some cutting-edge restaurants to this area, investing in this historic district. I think there's so much that we can do to create a buzz about Miami Beach. Miami Beach is not that hard to sell. I was able to open a restaurant in the back of a condominium with no sign and fill it out with the right kind of marketing, and I know that if I was at the helm, I would be able to market Miami Beach because there really is so much to market. But we have a long way to go because we need to get our retail back. That was getting, shoplifted and looted. It's a problem.
Thank you. All right, the next question is for both of you, and I'm about to go through this process. Miami Beach has a reputation of being a horrible city for entrepreneurs to start businesses because of its permit process. What specifically would you do to streamline this process to make it fair, transparent, and predictable? Kristen can go first.
I'm really excited about this question. Recently, I had a business over, and she opened 2 stores, 2 Majorca stores, one on Lincoln Road and one in Aventura. The one in Aventura took 10 days to open, and the one on Lincoln Road took 3 months to open, and it took her 6 months to get a sign. That is unacceptable. So what do I have on the upcoming agenda? We're going to copy the Aventura model. We're going to copy their technology. It's streamlined. It's easy. Right now in Miami Beach, you don't even get initial feedback until 30 days, and our staff doesn't get back to you until day 29. My resolution that I have upcoming dictates that when you start the permitting process, you get initial feedback within 48 hours. We're going to hire a concierge, a couple of them, to help open these businesses. And I know that this is very, we have to push on our administration, and I think the mayor sets the tone and prioritizes the agenda. This has been something that has not been prioritized, and I've had items about Lincoln Road, about our businesses for a long time, and now that I understand where the problems are, I'm going to attack them head on, and we're going to streamline not just this, but the building department too.
So David Gruckman, who has a lot of businesses here, actually called me up to do a video that he put on his Instagram account this week, and he talked about how the permit process has gotten significantly better. And his own experience in the last year has been a game changer. There's no question our permitting process was a disaster, and it still has a ways to go. Well, we did a couple of things. One, we hired a new building director, Vince Sejas, who had worked in Mayoral and had transformed their permit process. We hired a consultant, a RAND consultant, to do best practices and how we can fix it. We did a committee of experts within our city who volunteered their time to give us best practices. And I also had legislation called From the Get-Go, which would streamline the process that our city could not keep getting multiple cracks at the apple. All those processes are now moving in place. We're also opening up our offices in-house. So during COVID, we shut that down, and it took us too long to get back open, but that is essentially open now. You can go in person and get it done instead of having to try to figure out the portal, which can be complex. So all those steps are moving in the right direction, and that's why I mentioned at the beginning of my comments about the testimonial, because businesses, and it's not perfect, there's still work to do, but in the last year we have made tremendous gains in our permitting process, and we'll continue to do that.
Thank you. This question is for both of you. What's your position on investing in beautification projects, such as lighting, landscaping, murals, and sculptures that attract tourism and improve safety? And if you are in favor, how much should the city be paying for these projects? The question is for both of you.
Well, I think I'm going to mention his name again. I think Commissioner Fernandez once referred to me as the lighting mayor because I brought so many lighting initiatives. First, when I first got elected as commissioner, it was 41st Street, then I did North Beach, Ocean Drive recently. It wasn't my item, but Washington Avenue. Lighting is extremely important. It's important for beautification, it's important for aesthetics, it's important for making people feel comfortable. It's an economic driver, so lighting and beautification. There are a lot of projects that we have in play that are upcoming, and some that we put in. The landscaping, beautification, cleaner streets. Our budget is reflecting the priority of this commission and me, that we are spending more money on our city, on the beautification, on the cleanliness. And yes, there is a big place for our city to pay, to play in that. I mean, for example, it's on Ocean Drive, but we put in monies to have the orchestra on Sunday nights. There's other areas that we're doing that as well, to bring in sculptures to our city. So there is a place for us to supplement, but certainly we need the help of the private marketplace as well to make that happen. But that is an area that I'm completely agreeing that we need to do.
Thank you, Kristen.
Wrapping palm trees and lights is nice, and we all voted for it because we needed an immediate solution, but it is not a long-term solution to beautification. But I've been working with Troy on the Washington Avenue bid, and we're now doing, is it 2 blocks, or we're doing 2 blocks, right? We're getting completely new iconic sidewalks, and we're getting lighting. I've also sat down with Bernard Siskovich, and we're going to go for we have $20 million there in capital improvements, and we're going to begin the improvements of Ocean Drive. Sometimes you can get small wins, however, without spending a lot of money. For example, signage. Look what we did in the Palmview neighborhood. We put up the historic signs, it was transformative. We're painting those buildings with Barbara Mulaniki. Those buildings start to pop. And when we show that we care about our historic buildings, we set the tone for everyone else. And we really need to hold property owners who are waiting for certain zoning and have abandoned entire blocks of their building, that we want them to care for their buildings, paint their buildings, beautify these buildings. Once we destroy these buildings, we can never get that back. Never, ever, ever. And this is what defines us. And this is such smart economics to understand the value of preservation. And that is something that I do think my opponent is challenged in understanding.
Thank you.
Well, since I mentioned, I'm not sure where that comes from. When the state has this live local, which is threatening our Art Deco, we jointly held a press conference. I called a press conference and we stood up there and said, we do not agree with this preemption that threatens our historic preservation.
15 seconds.
My opponent says he has these great relationships. We've been preempted as he's been mayor from every single zoning code, and we've gotten all of our development rights taken away from us. If you have such a good relationship with the governor, why is that happening?
Okay, we're gonna move on, but it's gonna be in line with this same questioning. This just came out yesterday. On the next October commission agenda, Resolution R7W would cut public arts funding from $1 million annually in half to $500,000 annually. This funding could cripple some of the 50 organizations that get this funding. Do you support this cut in public arts funding? Yes or no in 10 seconds.
No, just so everyone knows, any commissioner, there's 7 of us, the mayor and 6 commissioners, could put any item on at any meeting. So a commissioner put that item on, I'm not supportive.
No, but I have seen him vote against the GO bond for arts and culture. He voted against the funding for the Colony Theater and against the funding for the Rhythm Foundation, did you not?
You voted against the entire GEO bond for $439 million. We wouldn't have our real-time intelligence center. We wouldn't have so much that our police department, our parks, Bayshore Park was funded by GEO bond funding. You voted no to that.
We're gonna move on. We're gonna move on. Keep it
You don't want to
moving.
get me.
Keep it moving.
Okay, we have a long question, so relax. Short-term rentals in single-family homes can provide a unique experience to tourists that cannot be replicated by hotels. Sometimes families prefer to stay together rather than 3 or 4 in a room hotels, and not everyone wants to rent a home to throw a party in it. Would you support a system where reasonable single-family homeowners can apply for a short-term license if they received a signed permission by their next-door neighbors and posted a security deposit with the city that could be seized in the case of noise complaints? If not, why not?
No, I would not support it. I'll tell you why. We've had this issue with Airbnb. First, it's the immediate neighbors is somebody can blast their music and it can affect blocks. So the next door neighbor is just one player. We've had a big problem. We're a tourist city, and what we have is it's not families that come and rent these. Nobody has a problem with family coming and renting a house. It's 8, 10 people jammed in a house looking to make a party. Our residents have told us loud and clear they don't want that. So we as a city have taken steps wherever we are not preempted by the state, we have banned Airbnbs, and I would continue to support that.
Kristen?
Yeah, party houses just don't work. They really ruin quality of life, and so, no to party houses in single-family home neighborhoods.
Okay, it wasn't exactly the question. It was saying, in the case that they're not party houses, would you support a security deposit with a policy where the city could seize the deposit if a noise complaint was called?
I don't. Obviously, if you want, I will check with our legal department and we work. But I don't think there's any way you can draft legislation the way you describe. It's all encompassing. You can't say, well, we'll rent the house to a family that has 2 kids and a dog, but we're not going to rent it to 4 people who want to come. It's just that is illegal, and for good reason it's illegal. So that's just I don't think it's workable. It's not possible, and so my answer stands.
Okay, we'll move on. We seem to be both in agreement on this. Okay, we have 2 more questions before we get to closing statements. Question 14. Palmview is an historic district, but in the past year, the city approved demolition of 4 historic properties. Why should residents continue to be held to preservation constraints when the city approves demolition applicants from developers that successfully use the demolition by neglect argument? Kristen.
That's a tough question. Palmview is the only single-family home neighborhood in Miami Beach that is historic, and it's something very special. But at the same time, we're living at a time when we do see the flooding, and the new building codes allow you to build much higher. I'm not quite sure what the historic standards are for building these new homes in Palmview, but if they become out of scale with the older homes, then it might not work for the neighborhood. But I think it has to be on a case-to-case basis. It's a very difficult question, because I know that some people love their historic homes, and some people want to be able to rebuild their homes. So, I don't know. I would have to go to the neighborhood and see what you guys want.
So that for some, since this is a double-sponsored Palmview and Washington bid, there are some homes in Palmview that are built in the 1970s and 1960s that are not historic. but because the entire neighborhood is designated historic, nobody can redo their homes. So would you be in favor of a case-by-case basis and removing the blanket historic designation for the neighborhood?
I think we actually have come to a meeting of the minds on this one. This is a challenging one. It's a challenging one when I talk to homeowners in Palm View. I do hear some different views on how this should go, and I'm seeing the nod from Chris as well. So it's difficult. Sometimes it's easier when you work with a neighborhood association or you work with residents, and it's lopsided. On this one, it's kind of, it seems to me 50-50. So it makes it challenging. You bring up a good point. Historic preservation is something that we want to, we value here in Miami Beach, something we want to continue, but at the same time, there's a safety aspect at times. And demolition by neglect is a different one, a difficult one. The most famous one that we've had recently here was the Noble. But it makes it challenging. How do you prove? Is it intentional? But ultimately, then it comes down to a safety issue. You don't want a building to put anybody in jeopardy. So it is a complex and challenging issue that probably is, for the time being, is going to be on a case-by-case basis.
Thank you. Playboy is asking for $200,000 per year for 4 years of incentives from the city of Miami Beach. This well exceeds the current incentive cap and requires commission approval. What is your position on this request? This question is for both of you.
Mayor Minor, you can go first.
Yeah, so until now, we, as a commission, have not had any participation in Playboy moving their headquarters here. They would be the first public company to move their headquarters to Miami Beach. Now it's coming to commission because we do have an incentive program to, if certain high-paying jobs come to Miami Beach, that we will incentivize them because obviously we want to increase our economic development and the companies that come here, the quality companies that come here. It's in the details. I do believe I'm supportive of it. I have not had my briefing yet. Basically, I just got the books today with the items. We then meet with our city attorney and our city manager, even the mayor. We do it separately because of sunshine laws. So I haven't been fully briefed on the issue. So I hate to commit myself before a meeting, but ultimately I think bringing public companies is a good thing. I just have to make sure the math and all that works out.
The irony of this is that when I was bringing German technology company Geski to Miami Beach, that was going to make it their headquarters on Lincoln Road, because 20% of the store was dedicated to personal massage devices for women, he was vehemently against it. Okay, and he's used this to the community church is too close, but if it's Playboy, it's okay. The truth of the matter is that I'm okay with both. You know what, at this point in time, I think that the German beauty technology store would have been a great addition to Lincoln Road, and it was not offensive at all. And I do think that the Playboy headquarters is a large investment in our community. Those are going to be great paying jobs. It could be really interesting, and I don't think it's going to be a terrible addition. I don't think they're going to be producing like large-scale pornography in Miami Beach. I mean, before we make that kind of decision, I think we have to figure out what are these headquarters, what is going to be part of the headquarters, and they're going to be producing the magazine there. And once we get all the details, if it's a sound economic business plan, and it's good for Miami Beach, and it's good for Lincoln Road, and it's going to generate revenue, and it's going to fix it, then I don't have a problem with it, but I don't really understand the whole plan. So when I do, and when I read it, I'll make an ultimate decision.
Just so again, until this current commission meeting, which is next week, we have not had a vote on the Playboy issue. It's not come before us. The cosmetic store that the commissioner was talking about that had adult products, they could have moved anywhere in Miami Beach, and they're welcome to do it. What they were seeking from the commission was a waiver to move closer to our church. We have certain rules that are pretty close as it is.
Playboy is near the Cuban Hebrew, so is this a double standard? It's okay for Playboy, but it's not okay for Geski?
First of all, it's within the rules. We have certain rules. Cuban Hebrew is actually fairly far away, but this would have brought this portion of the store that had adult products within, I think, 100 feet of a church. I wasn't vehemently opposed. I asked a couple of questions from the planning director, and I ultimately I gave a no vote. I believe it actually passed the commission. There was 2 of us who voted no, but ultimately the store decided not to move here. But I actually stand by that vote. I think if you want to move here, you move here, but stick within the rules and not move within a church.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, guys. We're going to move to closing statements. Each of you have 2 minutes. We're going to begin with Kristen on your closing statement.
I think my favorite one is about that right now.
Miami Beach, since 2015, you've listened to me, you believed in me, we voted in referenda together, and I really do think that I've been your voice.
When I first started out in politics, and if somebody would have told me that one day I was going to run for mayor of Miami Beach, I wouldn't have believed them. But after 10 years of serving Miami Beach, advocating for our community, understanding each section of Miami Beach and what their needs are, and representing every community effectively, I think I'm ready for the job. I have learned how to listen to people, how to compromise, how to find the center. And that's the kind of leadership we need. Right now, in Miami Beach, especially on our commission, we have a lot of division, and you're seeing it come out in this current political campaign. Most days, we don't even get anything done because there are so many attacks on each other, and that's not how a government can work. I think that I can be an effective leader, that I can bring unity to our current commission, and that I can focus us on what's important. Finishing our resiliency projects, getting this convention center programmed again, reviving our retail and city center, and investing in this historic district and bringing it back where it needs to be finally, that we've regained control of our city streets. I know and I feel confident that I can do this. I've never been more prepared than I am right now, and I think that I will be a great ambassador for Miami Beach. I love the city. I live here. My children are choosing to, I've lived here on and off my whole life. My children are choosing to live here, and, I really care. And I think that people know that, and I think that that's why, as I stand there at the polls, so many people are putting their confidence in me. And that's why the Miami Herald endorsed me, because they know that I'm the right leader for Miami Beach right now. Thank you very much.
As I start out by saying, I want to thank you for the opportunity to serve as your mayor for the last 2 years, and hopefully you'll give me the opportunity for another 2. It's been the honor of a lifetime. I take it seriously. I don't take it for granted, and that every day I represent you. I do it to the best of my ability. I've done it with integrity, civility, transparency. Very proud of that I keep a positive, stay focused on the issues. I do that at commission. I think you've seen also a change in our commission meetings, where I focus on the quality of life issues. Those are the issues that I call, even when we have some development to talk about, like Noble or the 1250 West Avenue, I call it a special commission meeting to make sure it doesn't take the place of our quality of life issues that we need to focus on, making our city better. And then, so I focus a lot, and I will continue to do, on law and order, because I believe, and you're seeing the fruits of that, to take your city to the next level, you need to be a safe city. You cannot have the economic development without the safety for residents, for businesses. I meet quarterly, I meet with many businesses, I meet with the hotel industry every quarter. And it's interesting, I hear the same issues from them that I do from our residents. Spring break is a thing of the past, and hopefully it will continue to be so. Our major crime is down 19%. Our homeless numbers are way down. We are prosecuting our cases now. We have stricter rules about development, and that has made a major impact to make sure we have smart development and not overdevelopment. And also we had numerous infrastructure projects that have been delayed for years. We have to get those done, and they are. Between 41st Street, the West Avenue project, the 1st Street, we are getting projects started, and we're going to get them completed. We'll make sure that we don't continue to make changes from the commission level, we are on the right trajectory. Our city has a reputation now of being a safe city, a city that is welcoming, that people want to come here. We are revising our permitting process to make sure businesses know they can come here and they're going to have a welcoming environment. I am very proud of the city that we have now transformed into something that was different just 2 years ago. And that's what I ask, that we need to continue that momentum, because there's a risk, always a risk, when there's a change of administration that you go backwards. I think we have the momentum. I know we have the momentum, and I'm asking you for support to continue that. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I'm just going to be the best. We're going to have a 2-minute break. Matter of fact, special thanks to Taco Rico and also South Beach Brewery for refreshments out there, in addition to the Washington Avenue Business Improvement District. So take